have a really special episode for you all today. This is different than the other episodes that you're used to hearing here in the Podcast Cafe. But this episode is in combination with the past episode I did a few weeks ago about my business turning 5. Well, I had a party, of course, and at the party, I put up a little station for people to record me messages, questions, our favorite memories together, all of these different things. And I just have the best people surrounding me. So, of course, they asked and said the best things that I cannot wait to share with you all. So this episode is going to be, you're going to hear from them, and I'll be kind of telling the stories on my side as well. So it's going to be a fun one, and let's just get right into it. Okay, to kick this off, you're going to hear from my friend, Jillian Minter. She is a business and money coach, and she just has the sweetest stuff to say. She's also a guest on my other podcast, Employee to Boss. So if you haven't gone to listen to that show yet, her episode will be up soon.
Congratulations, Espresso Podcast Productions. Hayleigh, we are so proud of you. Making it in business for 5 years is no small feat. And you are an amazing, powerful, fearless entrepreneur.
Thank you so much, Jillian. I appreciate that. It is no small feat, but it really just means so much that everyone is there to celebrate 5 years with me, to kind of validate how much effort goes into owning a business. Okay, next we have my friend Sarah Yell. She is a lawyer here in the Seattle area, and she has a fun question. I'll let her say it, and then I'll give my answer after.
Hi, Hayleigh. My name is Sarah Yell, and I was just wondering, so I work a full-time job. I'm usually in the office from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and I'm interested in starting a business, but I'm not really sure how you do that in the off hours, and there's just limited time left in the day. How would you recommend balancing a full-time job with trying to start a business? Thanks.
This is such a good question, and one that I actually hear a lot. And I actually started my business during the pandemic when I was unemployed. So I had a different experience than people starting their businesses now. But I would say finding your why of why you want to own a business is the most important thing, especially when you have limited time and a day job, because there has to be a really solid reason why you want to go into the world of entrepreneurship, and just hang to that. So I hear this concept a lot of 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. And I think that that's something that I would recommend. What can you do that are really impactful for a few hours a day to grow your business? And it's going to be a lot of work in the beginning, of course. I always recommend hiring coaches and really figuring out what will actually make an impact in the business before doing the busy work. So before you focus on branding or, which platforms to use, figure out why you want to have a business. Okay, after that, you can figure out who you want to serve. After that, how do you want to serve them? And then it just continues to build on top of that. So what is your brand messaging? And I think focus on the things that actually matter before the nice to haves, especially when you have limited time. So for example, when I'm building out a new offer, I built out my new offer, the Espresso series. That was something that did not happen overnight. What I did was I figured out what's a problem that people have in this space. Okay, they don't have enough time to podcast. Okay, but they want a podcast. They know that they need one. Okay, well, how can that be solved? That can be solved through limited series. So I figured it out like step by step. And I think a common thing that people do in the online space is trying to bite off a big chunk rather than just breaking it into small pieces. Another example is when I started this podcast, I kept delaying the launch. And I was like, why am I delaying the launch? It's just starting a podcast. I do this all the time. But it's not just starting a podcast. It's figuring out the name of the podcast, what the podcast is about, reaching out to guests, getting a logo, writing the description. It's a lot that goes into it. And breaking it down piece by piece is going to help you get far in the growth of any new venture. So I also have my other podcast, Employee to Boss, all about the entrepreneurial journey. So you can go over there and there's great episodes from people who have done it that you can learn from. So thank you so much for your question. Okay, next you're going to hear from my friend Jordine. She is the owner of Healing to Grow, and she has a really fun memory to share. I love this.
Hi, this is Jordine. I'm gonna do what's my favorite memory of our friendship or working together. I'm gonna pick a recent memory, which was about a week ago. I thought it was really funny when we were going to do beach day, and you were telling me about a couple of really embarrassing moments that has happened recently. And then I also shared some really embarrassing moments that has happened to me, and I think that was just really wholesome and funny that we're just sitting there laughing at each other about embarrassing moments. And yeah, I don't have to take life so seriously, and I think we both realize that, and it was just pretty funny.
I have another friend that you're about to hear from. Her name is Melissa, and she helps business owners break through mindset blocks to establish a consistent routine for productivity and business success through embodiment. I love Melissa. We have had such good times together, and seeing her grow her business, and she's actually someone who's doing it alongside working a 9 to 5. It's taught me a lot, and I love the perseverance. I love the messaging that she has, the mission she's on, and this is just such a fun memory that she's sharing. And what I love most about female friendships specifically is like how deep we can get with each other, because the story she's about to share, I was going through it, and she was one of those people that was there for me to just listen, and then I kind of had a breakthrough.
Hi, Hayleigh. It's Melissa here at your 5-year anniversary. My favorite memory of our friendship is last year when we hung out. We got together at my apartment, and I did an oracle card reading for you that shined some light on some things that you already knew within yourself. And the fact that you took initiative and took action on the message that came through showed me how much self-trust you have within yourself, and I think that's really awesome. And I am wishing you so much love, prosperity, and abundance as you continue to grow in your business and in your podcast ventures.
Next, you're going to hear a question from Yulia. She is an amazing photographer based here in the West Seattle area. I love her work, and we actually call each other coworkers because we go to so many networking events together. It's just, we always run into each other. So I love this question. I'm going to let her ask it, and then I'll get into the answer.
Hi, my name is Julia Ordaz, and something I have always wanted to ask you about podcasting is how do you come up with all the cool questions, and do you prepare beforehand, or do you just improvise?
This is such a good question, and one that I really love answering. So, how do I plan what topics I'm talking about in my podcast, and do I come up with the scripts? How do I find the guests? All those good things. So, the first thing that I did when I started both of my podcasts was figure out what's the intention of it. Is it to educate people, get clients, be featured places, just share my ideas, thoughts? Like, what's the goal? For me, with this podcast, it was education about podcasting. So from there, I think, what are people's most common questions when it comes to podcasting? And what do they want to hear? So the structure of this podcast came from the need in the space, which is I do short 10-minute episodes once a week about a podcast topic. It's timely, relevant, and that I get the ideas either from people that come to me on sales calls and they're like, hey, I'm struggling with this. I'll make an episode about it. So I get inspiration from people I talk to, sales calls. I get inspiration from my clients. And I'm also in a lot of Facebook forums, as well as, honestly, ChatGPT. If I'm ever struggling to come up with a topic, which rarely I can't think of anything, I will just say, hey, what's like a question I can answer on a podcast this week? Additionally, what I started doing was, since I do a guest episode and a solo episode each week, the solo episodes are normally about something that the guest episode is about. So like last week I had Ati Greenspun on who talks about branding. So I took her topic and made it into the viewpoint of the podcast version. So what do podcasters care about branding? So I'll just tailor it like that. But really, the longer you do it, the easier it gets to come up with topics. I also rely a lot on guests to come onto my show. Of course, I could do an all solo episode series, but I find podcast guests are very fun for me to interview. So that's usually what I do. I will have guests on, and that gets topics in itself. When I do research on them, I look and see like, okay, what in the podcast space, like how can we tailor this to my show? And normally I come up with questions on the fly, honestly. And I do have planning that goes into it. Like I listen to the podcast, I read their bio, I do a dive into their social media. But I have been interviewing people for 8-9 years now. And unless it's a topic that I'm not really sure about, and even if it is, I just ask the questions that I want to know. And I think that makes the podcast more approachable. I'm not pretending to be the expert about any of their topics. That's why I have them on. So I ask from a standpoint of asking to understand. That's what I truly do. So that's really how I do that. But thank you so much for your question. I hope that this helps. There is a never-ending amount of things you could talk about on podcasting. So it really just get started and you'll be able to get there. So my next one is from Nicole Norman. She is so fun. I met her networking not too long ago. And one of the questions that I prompted people to ask was like, if you had a podcast, what would you call it and what would it be about? So let's hear Nicole's answer. Her business is called Pacific NW Bio. They do biohazard cleaning in the area. So interesting.
Great party. Love the favors. Alrighty. If I gave you your own podcast, what will it be called?
Well, that is a great question. I think it would be called Straight from the Streets.
Street Talk?
Street Talk. Straight from the streets. You've heard it first.
We're going to talk all about biohazard and where your taxes go.
Oh, yeah. Tax money goes.
Boom, boom.
Meth, fentanyl, hoarders, crime scene.
That's my favorite.
All right. So, yeah, Street Talk. Straight from the streets.
Okay, that's so good. And for any true crime lovers out there, definitely go check out Nicole's TikTok. That's where they've been posting a lot and taking off. It's called Pacific NW Bio. You can go find her there. Next, we're going to hear from the other voice in that recording, Dr. Ayexa Santos. She's actually my chiropractor. Incredible. Here in the Seattle area. She's in Capitol Hill, and she is also answering the same question. What would her podcast be about if she started one?
Okay. Hi, Hayleigh. So if I gave you your own podcast, what will it be called? So my own podcast will be called Life Straight. We will be talking about upper cervical chiropractic, health and wellness, and how to get your life straight.
I have been to chiropractors in the past, but never an upper cervical chiropractor. And the technique is so interesting. I learned about it all from her, and that's what she's doing on me. And it has been helping a ton. So I think you should make that podcast happen. And you do know someone who can make that happen for you. Wink, wink. Next, you're going to hear from my friend Alexa Phillips.
Hi, Hayleigh. It's Alexa. I just wanted to wish you congratulations on 5 years in business. It's such a remarkable achievement, and I'm so glad to have met you and gotten to know you and have gotten to be on your show. And cheers to 5 more years in business.
Thank you so much, Alexa. It is so nice of you to say that, and I am so happy that we met too. Your episode on Employee to Boss is such a good one. So for everyone listening today, make sure you go and find that episode with Alexa on Employee to Boss. Alexa is the owner of Bright Eye Creative. She does content marketing for early stage B2B and B2C SaaS startups. She also has an incredible blog newsletter that is called Creative Anonymous. So make sure you go and subscribe. You can go find her on Instagram at Bright Eye Creative. Next, you're actually going to hear from her sister, Catherine Phillips. I helped Catherine start a podcast. It's called the Faithful Flourish Podcast. It is an Orthodox Christian podcast. And I love when people have niche podcasts, so helping Alexa was so fun, and let's hear from her right now.
Hi, Hayleigh. This is Catherine, and I am the host of Faithful Flourish podcast. My question for you is how to promote your podcast on social media. What are your best tips and how to grow your audience through social media and your podcast? Thanks so much for your help for helping me launch Faithful Flourish, and I look forward to your answer.
This is such a good question. How do you grow a podcast, right? And this is one that I think really differs podcast to podcast based on the goals. So I know Catherine's goal is to educate people on something that she believes a lot, which is this faith. And so one thing that's really important for her is going to be about creating community. And I think there's places that you can show up. One thing that she's doing that's really great is taking people along this journey with her. She has a lot of interesting reels that she's posting and education about how to live the faith that she believes in, right? And so community, everything that you can do to build this community is number one. That should be where all the effort is going, in my opinion. Threads is an incredible place to build community right now. I know it kind of sounds crazy, like, oh, is Threads going to, like, how can Threads build that, right? But Threads is such an incredible way to meet people who you wouldn't have otherwise, and the algorithm right now is just, it's really good for categorizing people into what they're interested in. So I would say double down on Threads and continue doing what you're doing. Continue to put out podcast episodes, continue to reach out to people, and continue making a great product that people will come to be educated on. So I say you're doing a lot of the best things that you should be doing, and I think adding Threads would be a really low lift way to get some more listeners. Just basically post your thoughts, post tips, post photos, post beliefs that you have, and see where it takes you, because that's where community is being built right now. Okay, and last but not least, I have saved this message because I think it is so kind and sweet. And I mean, this whole episode just like fills me up with so much love and joy. But this next one is from Michaela and Gabby. They are two of my friends who came to my party, and it's just like, oh, I don't know. Being in this world where we surround ourselves with other entrepreneurs, I think that there's beauty in being surrounded by people who also aren't in the entrepreneurial world but fully support you, even though they might not understand like the day-to-day of what I do. Like, they are always there as a shoulder to cry on, someone to lean on. Like, it is just so, like I said before, like, female friendship is just so fulfilling. So having them come to my party and leave me these beautiful messages is just so heartwarming.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, check, check, check. Hi, Hayleigh. This is Michaela. And my favorite thing about podcasts is hearing the different perspectives of people that I don't know, and I don't know how they think and how they move through life. And then I listen to them talk, and they are able to share such unique experiences and insight in ways that I probably wouldn't have thought about it. And it's a really great resource if you want to get out of your own head and be able to just like move through the world, and be open to the new information that comes your way.
Hi, this is Gabby. Me and Michaela are sitting here together recording this for you. My favorite memory of our friendship, I was actually thinking on the way here today that I think I met you in Vegas before you moved up here, because Carlin said, I have this friend in Vegas and I think you guys would get along really, really well. And I remember we went out to a couple of bars together, and we have some pictures from the first time that we met. And then every other memory with you is also my favorite. Lots of nights in Ballard, trips to Lake Tahoe, even just casual nights, guessing captain's, not gender reveal, guessing captain's breed reveal was fabulous. And now we want to leave you a piece of advice or encouragement.
Or a little funny message.
Or a little funny message that you can read on the show. I fear I would not be good live on a podcast.
Well, my piece of advice or encouragement, whatever,
Or a funny message.
is to just be true to yourself in whatever that means in the moment. And sometimes that means different things, and who you are is a really fluid and developmental thing that you go through life with. So whatever you do, just feel like you're being your most authentic self. And then you'll never be confused about the content that you make or who you surround yourself with, because that's a reflection of who you are in that moment.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I wish we were doing a video recording, because I just gazed at Michaela like I was so proud of what she was saying. The piece of advice that I would leave you, Hayleigh, as I just said, I can imagine you editing out my because that's what you do. My piece of advice to offer is to celebrate the small wins, because I know that you're celebrating this massive accomplishment of 5 years of a successful business. But try to remember through the small moments that you are kicking ass and taking names.
Amen.
Amen. Peace up, A-Town. You're just a rock star, and every little thing that you do is amazing. And I wrote it in my card to you, but I brag about you to all of my friends, because you are just truly amazing and do incredible things. And we love you.
We're so proud of you. Can't wait to be here in another 5, 10, 50 years.
50.
Hope you're not working in 50 years.
Yeah, period. You'll be retired and wealthy.
Bye.
And that is that. Okay, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you stuck all the way through, I really appreciate it. I know this is different than the content that I normally post, but I just want to remind you all that what you're doing, people are noticing, and you're building a community along the way. So even though it might feel like you're not talking to anyone week after week in the podcast, maybe you're not getting the responses that you want, or people aren't DMing you as much as you want, people are still listening and admiring, and they're to celebrate you. So give them an opportunity to celebrate you. I actually stole this idea of doing these live recordings from a event I went to with Alicia Kumar, where she was doing it. And so big shout out to her for this idea. But I think that this is going to be one of those episodes that I come back and listen to when I'm not having the best day. I mean, entrepreneurship is not for the weak of heart. And there are times where you have to stand up for yourself and trying to stay true to who you are, all while making money and dealing with clients and realizing everyone works differently. And this is just one of those encouraging episodes that just makes my heart so warm. So just like Gabby said, hopefully I'm not working in 50 years and I'm retired and living my best life. But if I am, I hope I'm still around such an amazing community like this. Okay, we're going to get back to regularly scheduled content next week, but I appreciate you taking the time to listen and celebrate. And for the listeners, if you want to send me a message, I will definitely put it in another podcast episode. I would actually love if you sent me a message, a voice message or whatever, that I could put in another episode. That would make me so happy. So, oh my gosh, thank you, and I will catch you next week.